What if I told you that deep under the sands of Egypt, there are giant stone boxes so heavy modern machines would struggle to move them? Boxes hidden in dark tunnels, sealed with perfect precision, and no one knows exactly why they were made. Sounds unreal, right? But this is not a story or a myth. This is real, and it exists beneath a place called Saqqara. For years, people have visited Egypt to see pyramids and temples. They take photos, they admire the beauty, but very few know what lies underground, hidden from plain sight, silent, almost forgotten, a place that feels like it was never meant to be found. This place is called the Serapeum, and what was discovered there has confused historians, engineers, and researchers for decades. Some say it is just an ancient burial site, simple, nothing unusual, but others believe there is something much deeper, something that does not fit the story we've been told. Because when you look closely, things stop making sense. Who built these massive structures? How did they move stones that weigh more than 70 tons? And why go through so much effort just to hide them underground? These are the questions that make the Serapeum one of the most mysterious discoveries in Egypt. And here's the thing. As we go deeper into this video, you will see details that most people never notice, details that might change how you see ancient history. By the end, you will understand why some people call this a forbidden discovery. So stay with me, because what lies beneath Saqqara might be far more shocking than you expect. Most people know Egypt for its pyramids, tall, ancient, standing strong for thousands of years. But long before tourists and cameras, this land was the heart of a powerful civilization, a place filled with kings, gods, and strange rituals. Saqqara is one of the oldest burial grounds in Egypt. It sits near the ancient city of Memphis. This was once the capital of Egypt, a place full of life, power, and belief. And Saqqara was where the dead were honored. This is where you will find the Step Pyramid of King Djoser. It is one of the first pyramids ever built, simple in shape, but very important in history. It marked the beginning of large stone structures in Egypt, a sign that this civilization was growing in skill and knowledge. Around it, there are tombs, many tombs, spread across the desert, each one built to protect the dead and guide them into the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed life did not end with death. They believed it continued, and so they prepared for it carefully. But here is where things get interesting. Everything you see above the ground is only part of the story. Because beneath Saqqara, hidden under layers of sand and rock, there is something very different, something that does not look like the tombs above, something that feels out of place. Deep below the surface, far from sunlight, lies a network of tunnels, long corridors cut into solid rock, and at the end of these tunnels are objects so strange and so massive that even today they raise more questions than answers. This hidden world is not something most visitors ever see. It is quiet, dark, and filled with mystery. And the story of how it was found is just as strange as what lies inside. In the year 1850, a French archaeologist named Auguste Mariette arrived in Egypt. He was not searching for giant stone boxes. He was looking for ancient texts, old records that could tell him more about Egypt's past. But sometimes the biggest discoveries are not planned. While exploring the sands of Saqqara, Mariette noticed something unusual. The head of a stone statue was sticking out of the ground. It was partly buried, almost hidden. Most people would have walked past it, but he stopped. Curious, he began to dig. As the sand was cleared, more statues appeared, one after another, lined in a path. It felt like they were leading somewhere, like markers pointing to something hidden, so he followed them. The statues led him to a sealed entrance. It was covered in sand and debris, old, forgotten, almost like it had been buried on purpose. Mariette ordered his team to clear it. When they finally opened it, they did not find a small tomb. They found a passage, a dark tunnel, cut deep into the ground. With only lamps to guide them, they stepped inside. The air was still, heavy. The walls were carved from solid rock, and the deeper they went, the quieter it became. Then they reached a chamber, and what they saw inside made no sense. Massive stone boxes, perfectly shaped, smooth on each side, sitting in silence as if they had been placed there with great care. Each one larger than anything they had expected. These were not simple burial coffins. They were something else. And the deeper Mariette explored, the more of these chambers he found, each one holding the same kind of giant box, hidden in a maze of tunnels beneath Saqqara. It was clear now. This was not a small discovery. This was something far bigger, something ancient, and something very difficult to explain. The tunnels stretched far into the rock, long, straight, carved with purpose, and as Mariette and his team moved deeper, they began to understand the true scale of what they had found. This was not just one chamber, it was a network, a system of underground corridors branching out in different directions. Some passages were narrow, others opened into large rooms, and inside many of these rooms sat the same strange objects, giant stone boxes. Each one carved from solid granite, not soft stone, not easy material. Granite is one of the hardest stones on Earth. Even today, cutting it requires strong tools and advanced machines. But these boxes were not rough. They were smooth, perfectly shaped. The surfaces were flat and polished. The edges were sharp and exact. The lids fit so tightly, it almost looked like they were sealed with precision tools. And then there was the weight. Each box weighed between 70 to 100 tons. That's heavier than a fully loaded truck. Some were even more. Just one of these would be hard to move today, but here there were more than 20 of them, placed carefully inside underground chambers. Think about that. These massive blocks had to be carved, transported, and then lowered into narrow tunnels deep below the ground. How? The tunnels themselves were not wide. There was little space to move such huge objects, no clear path for large machines, no sign of ramps big enough to handle that weight. And yet, there they are, not broken, not misplaced, but arranged with order and care, almost like each one had a specific place. Some boxes were still sealed, others were opened, a few were damaged, but even in damage, their precision was clear. This was not simple stonework. This was something advanced, something that required planning, skill, and control at a very high level. And the more you look at them, the harder it becomes to accept a simple explanation. According to traditional history, there is a clear explanation for all of this. The Serapeum was built to bury sacred animals. In ancient Egypt, the Apis bull was not just an animal, it was seen as a living god, a symbol of power, strength, and divine presence. When an Apis bull died, it was treated with great honor. Priests performed rituals, the body was prepared carefully, and it was placed in a special resting place. That resting place, historians say, was here. These giant stone boxes were believed to be sarcophagi, burial containers for the sacred bulls, each one made to protect the body, to keep it safe for the afterlife, just like the tombs of kings, but for a divine animal. At first, this sounds reasonable. The Egyptians were known for their beliefs about life after death. They built massive tombs, they used stone, they honored gods and symbols with great effort. So building large burial chambers is not surprising. But then questions begin to appear. If these were just burial boxes, why are they so massive? Why use stones that weigh more than 70 tons for an animal? Why not use something smaller, easier to handle? And then there's the precision. Why are the surfaces so smooth, so exact? The lids fit so tightly that even a thin blade can barely pass through. That level of detail seems far beyond what is needed for a simple burial. And then there's another strange detail. Some of the boxes were found empty, no remains, no clear signs of a burial, just a huge sealed stone box with nothing inside. And in some cases, when boxes were opened, what was found inside did not match the idea of a preserved bull. The remains were broken, disturbed, almost as if something had happened long after they were sealed. So now the story begins to feel less certain. Yes, the Apis bull was important. Yes, the Egyptians built tombs. But does that fully explain what we're seeing here? Or is there something missing? Because the deeper you look, the simple explanation starts to fall apart. And this is where things take a strange turn. Because once you step away from the standard explanation, new ideas begin to appear. Ideas that sound unusual at first, but start to feel possible when you look at the details. Some researchers believe these boxes were not made for burial at all. They point to the precision, the smooth surfaces, the tight seals. All of it looks less like a coffin and more like something engineered, something designed for a purpose we may not fully understand. One idea suggests these chambers were used for energy.
It may sound surprising, but some believe the granite boxes could store or direct energy. Granite contains quartz, and quartz can react to pressure. It can create small electrical charges. This is known as the piezoelectric effect. Now imagine a sealed granite box sitting in a closed chamber deep underground. Could it have been part of some kind of system? Others suggest sound. The tunnels are long and narrow. The chambers are enclosed. Some people believe these spaces could have been used for sound resonance, a place where sound waves could build and interact in a controlled way, almost like a giant instrument. And then there is the idea of lost technology. What if the people who built this had skills we do not fully understand today? Not magic, not aliens, but knowledge that has been lost over time. Techniques that were never written down, tools that did not survive. Because when modern engineers study these boxes, they notice something important. The level of precision is extremely high. The surfaces are flat within very small margins. The angles are sharp. The cuts are clean. Even today, achieving that level of detail with hard granite is not easy. It requires advanced tools and careful control. So it raises a serious question. Were ancient tools really enough to create something like this? Or are we missing a part of the story? No one is saying these theories are proven. There is no final answer. But the fact that these questions exist tells us something important. The Serapeum is not fully understood. And maybe that is what makes it so powerful. Because sometimes the most important discoveries are not the ones we can explain easily. They are the ones that make us stop and rethink everything we thought we knew. In recent years, more experts have started to take a closer look at the Serapeum, not just historians, but engineers and researchers from different fields, people who study materials, tools, and construction methods. And what they are finding is raising even more questions. When engineers examine the granite boxes, they notice how flat the surfaces are. Not just smooth to the eye, but flat on a very precise level. In some cases, the variation is so small that it matches what modern machines can achieve. That's not normal for ancient stonework. Granite is extremely hard. Cutting it is slow and difficult. Shaping it with that level of accuracy requires control, patience, and the right tools. Even today, it takes time and advanced equipment to get that kind of result. But these boxes were made thousands of years ago. So how did they do it? Some experts suggest that simple tools like copper chisels and stone hammers would not be enough to achieve this level of precision. Others argue that with enough time and effort, it could be possible. But even then, the scale makes it hard to accept. Because it's not just one box, it's many. Each one showing the same level of detail, the same smooth finish, the same tight fit between lid and base. This suggests a system, a method that was repeated again and again. And then there is the idea of placement. Getting these massive boxes into underground tunnels is not a simple task. It requires planning, it requires space, and it requires a way to move heavy loads without breaking them. Modern machines use cranes, wheels, and strong support systems. But in the Serapeum, there is no clear evidence of such tools, no tracks, no large ramps that could explain how these boxes were moved into position. Yet they are there, perfectly placed, deep underground. So now we're left with two possibilities. Either the ancient Egyptians had methods that we still do not fully understand, or we are missing a key piece of the story. And that is what keeps this mystery alive, because every time we think we are close to an answer, something new appears that pulls us back into doubt. So after everything we have seen, the tunnels, the massive granite boxes, the perfect precision, one thing becomes clear: the Serapeum is still a mystery. Yes, there is an official explanation, a story that says these were burial chambers for sacred bulls, and maybe part of that is true. But when you look at the details, it doesn't feel like the full picture, because this place feels different. It doesn't just show belief, it shows skill, planning, control, the kind of work that makes you stop and wonder how it was even possible at that time. And maybe that is the real question, not just what the Serapeum was used for, but what the people who built it were truly capable of. Because history is not always complete. Some parts are lost, some parts are simplified, and sometimes discoveries like this remind us that there is still so much we don't understand. The Serapeum sits quietly beneath Saqqara, hidden from the world above, holding its secrets in silence. And maybe it will stay that way. Or maybe one day we will finally understand what it really was. But until then, it remains one of the most fascinating and confusing places in ancient Egypt, a discovery that raises more questions than answers, a place that challenges what we think we know, and a mystery that refuses to go away. So now, the question is not just what lies beneath Saqqara, but how much of our history is still waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoy exploring mysteries like this, the kind that make you question everything you thought you knew, then you are in the right place. Because there are many discoveries like the Serapeum, hidden places, forgotten structures, stories that don't fully add up, and we're going to explore them together. So make sure you subscribe and stay connected. And before you go, tell me this: do you think the Serapeum was just a burial site or something more? Let me know your thoughts below, because sometimes the truth is not what we are told, and sometimes it's hidden just beneath the surface.